Nobody in Las Vegas was betting against this woman to be the Democratic nominee for governor of the great state of Minnesota. In fact, many of us were surprised when she said, I'll do that job, and yet happy when she said that as well. And that is Amy Klobuchar. We get a chance to visit with her right now. Senator, good to have you back on News and Views.
Well, thanks, Joel. Great to be on, and very excited about the kind of energy we saw last night. So many people voted, and ready to get started on this, because my goal here is to be a transformative governor. That's why I'm doing it. As you said, I like my job now. I actually love my job, but I love my state more. And we have been through so much, from the assassination of our Speaker of the House, Melissa Hortman, to the horror of the kids gunned down in the church, to ICE, to the serious fraud problem that beset our state government. And I'm just ready to make changes. I think, as your sister knows me, someone once said patience is a virtue, but it's a virtue I don't have. And we have to have a government that matches the drive and ambition of the people of our state. That means, like, people apply for a permit, there should be a deadline where they get a yes or no, and if they don't get one, they get their money back. Those kinds of simple things, and rooting out the fraud and building more houses with the private sector, that's really going to, I think, up the trust in government again. So I'm excited to take this on and bring Democrats, Republicans, and independents with me, particularly in the Moorhead area.
I want to talk about that conversation a little bit, though, Senator. When you look at this race for governor, you have always been able to connect with people from all sides of the aisle. That's been one of your huge strengths. When it comes to the governor's race, is that going to be possible? Because it's been really polarized lately.
It has been, and just from the beginning, I made it very clear, and I sometimes at events with some of our own legislators, I would say on the Democratic side, spoiler alert, you're not going to like everything I do, just because I do think we need this change. And that, to me, is a growth agenda, and I've been really clear about that from the beginning. That is, doubling our apprenticeships and looking at some of these AI-proof jobs like healthcare, where we need people in both North Dakota and Minnesota, training more kids, getting in those maybe they're in a career where they need to have a change. We need to make that easy for them to get jobs in robotics or in construction or some of the things we know are going to be paid really well. Bringing down the cost of healthcare by taking on some of these insurance premium issues. And, if they're not going to extend that tax credit for the individual marketplace that so many people in rural Minnesota and North Dakota use, if they're not going to extend that in Washington, I'm going to do it in Minnesota.
So, Senator, I'm visiting with some good friends in Wilkin County the other night, and the subject kept turning to data centers because they knew that was a cross-border issue. It's coming up all over the place. Where are you at when it comes to these data centers?
Well, I have serious concerns with what's happened with some of these data centers across the country. There's been really bad decisions made that caused people's rates to go up, that have hurt the environment, and that just can't keep happening. So my answers to this is, number one, local control, allowing the locals to make a decision. One data center isn't the same as another one. Secondly, Minnesota did put in place a more progressive law that is much more focused on electric rates and on the environment and things like that. I think that's going to be helpful, but we need to build on that. The fact that some of this is in the dark from people and they sign these non-disclosure agreements, things like that, I don't think that should be happening. So I think there's a lot we can do to build on the work that's been done already at the legislature, but it's clearly a concern for people given the mess that they've caused in other parts of the country.
So how big is it to have a governor who understands D.C. as much as what you do and has been a leader in D.C.?
You mean the good and the bad and the ugly of D.C.? Well, I think it's helpful, yes, because I know where the money's buried. I know where the grants are, and whether it is under this current administration, where I don't think we want a rubber stamp of Trump in the governor's office. I think you want someone that can take on and stand their ground when necessary, but you also want someone that can find common ground or work with some of the cabinet secretaries or try to make sure that we're getting the money that we need for transportation particularly, or for some of these energy projects where it's been frozen. And the problem I have with my opponent is that she literally won't criticize one thing Trump has done, and that includes won't say a word about these tariffs that I think has just been a disaster for rural Minnesota and rural North Dakota. She won't question the Medicaid cuts that are hurting our rural hospitals, and she's embraced that war in Iran, which has cost Minnesota so much in terms of lives, in terms of just people's livelihoods. And so I just think you don't want that rubber stamp right now. You want someone that can find the common ground. I'm number one for bipartisan bills, and a few Congresses ago, number three for passing bills into law. Grassley beat me, but he's like 93. I don't know. But I just believe in finding that common ground, and that's where I think we need to bring our state to a better place.
Senator Amy Klobuchar, soon to be, and this is me saying this, not her, soon to be governor, Amy
Klobuchar. I got to earn this. I have to earn the respect.
I know.
Of the people here.
I know. I just felt good saying it. So, Senator, last question. I promise. I know you're getting tugged a lot of different directions. The biggest separator between you and Lisa Demuth.
The biggest is that I'm going to put Minnesota first, and she is going to be currying favor to Donald Trump and a rubber stamp. And that includes all of her ads. You may have seen some of them. They have been paid for by a super PAC by one of Trump's top donors out of Wisconsin. And maybe he's a Packers fan.
Senator, always good to talk to you. Be safe out there on the trail.
All right. Thank you.